What is going on, everybody? What is going on? Good morning. It's been a second. Been a second since we had the steam. Remember when the steam was part of the show? You know, I'd come in and it was like a fog machine when I started the show. I was like at a club. A lot of people got the vibes when I started the morning show. They're like, oh, we're at a club. Sliwa's on. It must be club time. Got a nice tea going here. Appreciate everybody being a part of the show. Busy day yesterday. And then today, I feel like I'm just chilling. I feel like my weekend already started. Basically, today's a day off for me. Why? Because kick back on a Friday. We're chilling. We're relaxing. Got a member show coming up a little bit later. Should I move the member show up a little bit? Maybe go 9:30? I think I could do 9:30. If you guys can do 9:30, I think I can do 9:30. Hopefully everybody had a nice rest of your evening after that Lakers-Sixers game, and then kind of a fun weekend, to be honest with you. Got a little NBA basketball. Of course, we got the Super Bowl coming up. Is it just me, or is the Super Bowl hype not very high? I feel like it's like week 13 in the NFL coming up this weekend. Nothing special at all. Let me give everyone a quick rundown what we got going on for the show today. And then we'll take a look at a couple of the comments. Once we get all the comments in, we'll get the show started. All right, let's see what we have here. Yeah, for me, it really genuinely seems like, I got to star this one. I'm going to come back to this one. We got good people. Got good people in this chat. Very, very good people in this chat. It feels like it's just another NFL game coming up on Sunday. Here's what we got going on for a rundown. Talk a little bit about last night's game. If you want the full post-game show, of course, you can catch it. Spent about maybe 45 minutes last night on the game. Right after the game, talking about the Lakers win over Philadelphia. We'll spend some time talking about Austin Reaves' night and just how great it is to have him back. Unfortunately for the Lakers, we'll spend some time on the Luka injury. He got an MRI coming today. I'll play part of what J.J. Redick said yesterday. So, what kind of significance that can have on the Lakers. It's interesting. As we look at this Lakers team, yesterday was the 10th game they've played together. And that's Luka, LeBron, and Austin Reaves this season. So how are these players, how are they going to have any chemistry by playing such little time together? We'll spend a little bit of time on that. I do want to talk a little bit about what the Lakers got yesterday and Luke Kennard, how he's going to fit in. And I'm assuming here he's probably going to be playing coming up on Saturday. So tomorrow when the Lakers have the game against the Golden State Warriors, is he going to be there? Is he going to be around? I'm assuming he's going to be available. Couple other things to keep in mind as well. The buyout market becomes a big conversation for everybody. So everybody's going to want to talk a little bit about the buyout market. Every player that I'm seeing that's mentioned around the Lakers in the buyout market, honestly, none of them make sense to me. None of them are like, oh my gosh, that guy's the perfect fit. So we'll spend a little bit of time on that anyways. I want to talk about, since we are through the trade market and kind of have a good idea what all these other teams are, what is the ceiling for the Lakers? What is it? I mean, do we have kind of an idea? Is it I don't want to call it a successful season, but what do we make of the Lakers if they end up there in the Western Conference Finals? Are you like, wow, that was a really good season? If they're out in the first round against the Houston Rockets, it's like, yeah, that was a really bad season. Like, I don't know if I really know what the expectations are and what would determine it a successful season or just a regular, however you want to call it. I'm trying to kind of gauge, well, what are I have an idea of what this Lakers team is, but I don't know if I've spent time saying, yeah, this is what the expectation is. And if they surpass this, it's successful. If they're below that, it's unsuccessful. There's a couple clips I'm going to play as well. Luka did a podcast with Tracy McGrady and Vince Carter. They got a new podcast together. And he had said a couple of things about what he thinks about this Lakers team the rest of the way. Baron Davis has a clip that I want to play as well in the Run It Back. That's the podcast with Michelle Beadle Boogie Cousins, Lou Will, Chandler Parsons, I think, is on it as well, but I don't think he's on this clip. I want to play a clip there where he just says that, yeah, the Lakers pieces don't fit. 2 of the 3 will fit, but not all 3 together. Talking about Luka, LeBron, and AR. And to be honest with you, I don't know if I have a lot to kind of to go against of what he's saying. Then we'll get into some NBA news. We'll kind of recap the trade deadline, what all these teams ended up doing, and then we'll call it a Friday. We'll call it a Friday, not for everybody. If you're a member, we keep going. We'll do it again at 9:30. Got the weekend preview, and we'll call it a day. I'm going to try something with the members today. I tried this last time. I tried going on a walk with the members, and then I realized I didn't have internet for basically the whole 7-8 minutes that I was walking. So, I'm adapting here, figuring it out as we go. All right, let's take a look at some of the comments here. People got to say. I'm going to point out this one here because, Chris, thank you, brother. I appreciate the super. Very, very nice of you. Very, very nice of you. I had one a little bit earlier I got to come back to. Good morning, Slee. We are heading down to Harris today, supporting our sponsors. Excited for dinner at Hell's Kitchen. Kate, that's awesome. I mean, that really, really is cool. Number one, that's awesome. You're going to have a great time there. Don't sleep on Rita's Cantina as well. By the way, they got a brewery as well, Rincon Brewery. So all their kind of restaurants are phenomenal. But that's awesome. I appreciate you supporting. I like how she said supporting our sponsors, right? That ain't my sponsor. That's our sponsor. Thank you, Kate. Really, really appreciate that. And phenomenal, phenomenal stuff. And if you want any suggestions or anything like that, you could send me an email. I'll give you some personal suggestions around the resort as well. But thank you very much for supporting the partners. Seahawks and the Patriots are boring teams. We'll all be watching, I'll tell you that. That's the difference with the NFL and everybody else. If you got like a bad World Series, no one's going to watch. If you had a bad NBA Finals, I think we said that, but then I'm going to watch either way. But Pacers and the Oklahoma City Thunder, it's like, oh, it's going to be a terrible finals. It actually ended up being a phenomenal finals. In the NFL, it doesn't matter who you have playing. You could have Jacksonville taking on, you name the other team. People are still going to watch. People will be watching the Super Bowl. Morning, Slee. No one's interested in Seattle or the Patriots. Hope AR has once again proven his intangibles and his worth. Cam Thomas is perfect for the bench score or Highsmith for 3-and-D. I don't know if I really don't think the Lakers need more offensive players. I really don't. I have zero expectations, essentially season number 0 for Luka. The journey begins next year. We're not on the Nuggets, OKC, and Spurs level. Not arguing that one. Definitely not arguing that one. Tough homestand coming, OKC, San Antonio, back-to-back. By the way, I love that. I mean, I've said this to you guys before. That's exactly what the Lakers need. They need games like this. They need matchups like this. They need the more talent that they can play, the better teams that they can play, kind of the better idea we'll have of who this team is. I appreciate you guys being a part of the show. Thank you for being here. Please subscribe to the channel. And let's get the show started. So, a couple things here you kind of take away from yesterday's game. Of course, Lakers, they beat Philly yesterday, 119-115. We talked about it. We talked about how the second half, all of a sudden, the Lakers started getting stops, and all of a sudden, life became a little bit tougher for Joel Embiid. Lakers rebounding was phenomenal. Turnovers were awful. But I thought last night was one of the more impressive wins for the Lakers they've had all season. And does it sound a little over dramatic? Sure. But let me just play out the circumstances real quick. You had a Lakers team that looked kind of dead in that first half. You had Austin Reaves that's only playing his second game back since his injury. And it's his first game back at Crypto since the injury. Obviously, he came back against the Brooklyn Nets, so it was the end of that road trip. LeBron didn't play well, wasn't shooting efficiently at all, had 8 turnovers in the game. Luka leaves with 3 minutes and 45 seconds left in the first half. And on the other side, you got a decent Sixers team. I don't think, anybody's going to take the Sixers that serious. If I'm being frank with you, I don't think they're coming out of the Eastern Conference. But you got some real talent over there in Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. Take all of that, and that doesn't exactly sound like a recipe for the Lakers to go get a W. But they did. They found a way to do it. Some unsung heroes, if you want to talk about Maxi Kleber and what he was able to do, got more minutes, by the way, than DeAndre Ayton. Ayton played 20 minutes for the Lakers. Maxi played 26 for the Lakers. Austin Reaves was incredible in just 25 minutes of play, had 35 points, 12 of 17 from the field. Um, kind of shocked yesterday that they figured out how to get that win. Embiid did his thing with 35, 7, and 7. Maxey got you 26 and 13. I mean, a lot of their key players did what they needed to do, and the Lakers still kind of found a way to beat a decent Philadelphia 76ers team. I think decent is probably the right way to describe them. I thought last night was a really good win for the Lakers. Unfortunately for the Lakers, it came at some kind of cost, and we're not 100% sure what the cost is. But last night, we know Luka obviously leaves the game. I'm going to read just a tweet here, and this will just kind of say, I guess you want to call it the status or whatever the case is, and we're going to find out a little bit more on Luka's injury today. And I think, ultimately at the end of the day, the thing that you pay most attention to right now when you think of Luka and when you think of this Lakers team, it's everybody wants to see how good this team is when they got everybody. And the Lakers have struggled to have everybody. They've only had LeBron, Luka, and Austin Reaves. Yesterday was the 10th game that they've all played together. And one of the quotes here from JJ Redick yesterday said, too early to say if it's an injury. He had a sore hamstring. So JJ yesterday was talking about that in regards to Luka. He'll get an MRI today. Left, obviously, the second quarter and didn't come back. That's kind of what we all sit here on a Friday and we wait to find out. I mean, there's kind of no other information that you care about today other than, all right, what's the status of Luka? And the hope is that it's nothing major, but it kind of falls into this just same category that the Lakers have had. By the way, not just this year. The Lakers have kind of dealt with this now, and it's not that other teams don't deal with this as well, but the Lakers have definitely dealt with this now for a couple of years. But for this season alone, Luka, AR, and LeBron, they're like allergic to each other. These teams can't play. These guys can't play together. I mean, first it's LeBron that's out to start the season. Then they start playing a few games together. Luka misses some games here and there. Then Austin Reaves is out for a handful of games. Then Austin Reaves comes back, and then Luka's out yesterday, or for most of the game yesterday. That part obviously frustrating for the Lakers. It is something that they're just going to have to figure out. It is something that just kind of comes with the territory. And, we'll see what these three players are together, and we'll see, what the ceiling is from these three players, at least from that perspective. But last night was disappointing from just that perspective. Is you wanted to see the Lakers and hopefully they could start building some momentum and some chemistry, and that's going to have to wait. And we'll see how long it has to wait. But here we go again, waiting for the Lakers to be the team that we all want them to be and kind of see what those three players bring to the table. And we're not going to get a chance, at least until we find out today, how long Luka's out for. Hopefully he's not out at all. He just comes back tomorrow and he's fine, and just a lot of caution. But I got a little hesitation to be, you got to just imagine might miss a game or two just merely based on him not coming back and playing in that second half. But I don't want to make any assumptions. We'll have to wait and see what happens. Let me see something here. I want to kind of just see, because I wonder how much this comes into play with the Lakers being ultra, especially now with Austin Reaves back, being ultra cautious in regards to how they use Luka the rest of the way. But how many more games do they have before the break? I want to say it's 4 more games. Let's see what they have here. Take a quick look here. So they got Golden State coming up tomorrow. OKC and San Antonio going Monday, Tuesday. So that's 2 home games, Thunder and the San Antonio Spurs. Badass, awesome. Then they got Dallas coming up on Thursday. So we are about a week away, and then the Lakers will hit this 8-game stretch where they don't play. They go for the obviously All-Star weekend. So maybe this is kind of an excuse for Luka to say, all right, let me shut it down here If I'm not 100% sure, or if I'm not 100% healthy, I'll shut it down and wait till the Lakers got a game until February 20th, which obviously is not coming for a couple of weeks since after the trade deadline. All right. At least that kind of gets me through yesterday's game. We talk a little bit about the Luka injury, and you know, we'll just kind of have to wait and see what happens moving forward. All right, let me take a look here at some of the comments. We'll get through a few of the comments and go from there. They alternate injuries. Yes. Lakers absolutely can use Cam Thomas, can use all the shooting they can get if they're not going to play defense at a high level. Please no CP3. All right. Phenomenal. Tough homestand coming. Okay, we got all that stuff. Okay, let's do this. Let's talk about a couple things I want to talk about. Luke Kennard and the buyout market. Let's spend a little bit of time on both of those. And then I got some clips that I want to play that will talk a little bit about the Lakers ceiling and everything else. So there's a piece from yesterday's postgame show that talks about Luke Kennard. And then I know, because I've done this long enough, this is my 10th year covering the Lakers, the buyout market, for some reason, is like this unbelievable fascination that everybody has in the buyout market. Once the buyout market comes, guys that really don't have that big of an impact in the NBA are talked about like they're the greatest free agent, but it comes with the territory. It's fine. Obviously, it's your last chance to improve the roster and everything else. Let's take a listen to, I want to play this on Luke Kennard, and then we'll talk about the buyout market after that. So if you guys got some thoughts on the buyout market, get ready for that. Post-game yesterday, JJ Redick is talking specifically about Luke Kennard, the addition of Luke Kennard. I will tell you, I forwarded this. He does say some stuff about Gabe Vincent and just says, what a professional he was, how much his teammates liked him and everything else. So he mentions that before he gets into the Luke Kennard stuff. I gave my thoughts and opinion on Gabe Vincent yesterday. I thought it was a very, very disappointing time with the Lakers. He had a ton of injuries. When he did play, he was never consistent, was not anywhere near the player that he was when he was with Miami and what the Lakers thought they were going to be getting. So disappointing tenure with the Lakers, let's put it that way. And I'm just being frank and honest here. Here's JJ Redick talking about Luke Kennard and what he'll potentially bring to the table for the Lakers.
Excited about Luke. I've known him for 12, I guess about 12 years now. And think he's one of the best shooters in the NBA. I'm going to highly encourage him to shoot more and not turn down shots. But I think one of the underrated parts of his game is his ability to move and create second actions and move the basketball. And you've seen that now at a number of his stops where you can initiate the offense through an off-ball movement, and he will just make the right play and sort of get the offense going. So he'll be a corner threat, and he'll be an off-ball threat, and we're excited to have him.
All right, so that's JJ talking yesterday post-game. So I guess the way it works, the trade didn't become official until, I think, right before the game. I know it was after JJ Redick's presser that he does pregame, so it didn't become official. So he could not talk about Luke Kennard in the pregame. So postgame, he got a chance to mention it. And there is, kind of a little bit of a scouting report or how JJ Redick seems like they're going to use the Lakers or they're going to use Luke Kennard with the Lakers. Look, I think for those, I didn't get a pulse from anybody yesterday. I mean, maybe a couple of comments, but for the most part, there really wasn't anybody that was like, what are they doing? How can they do this? What do you mean, Luke Kennard? How did you trade Gabe Vincent? There's nobody's going to say that. I mean, it's such a minor move too, that we understand why the Lakers are making moves like this. The Lakers, by the way, I was reading an article, reading a couple different tweets here, and this is something I mentioned yesterday as well. 2026 cap space projections. This is coming from Yossi Goslin, who does a really good job, much more of a numbers guy. Let's just say I think Yossi, I think he's probably very accurate, and he's got his taxes down perfectly because this guy knows numbers. He's crunching all these numbers. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? Certain people that know the cap, that's not my world. But this just gives you an idea, and you get a guy like Luke Kennard. It's not cutting into anything you're going to do next year. DeAndre Hunter would. It's not, it's not, it doesn't hurt your flexibility for the offseason if you want to go get Giannis or you want to go make a move at another player, anything like that. So the Lakers have $48.5 million. That's their cap space for next season. Most of that money, where's it going? Luka, Vando is on the books for $12 million. Ayton is on the books for $8 million if he stays. A couple of guys here got player options and everything else, but it just kind of gives you an idea where the Lakers are in regards to next season. The reason why that's important is Luke Kennard comes. He's a Laker for the rest of this year. If he can be a player that helps them in the playoffs, gives them some good spacing, I still think the Lakers, defensively, you got to be a better defensive team if you're going to make any noise. But at this stage, getting Luke Kennard, I do think it's an upgrade from Gabe Vincent. I do think most fans wanted to move on from Gabe Vincent. Again, nothing personal against Gabe Vincent. He just wasn't productive for the Lakers. And that's the way we're supposed to really assess things at the end of the day. So we'll see what Luke Kennard ends up doing. But if he comes in, he's playing for the Lakers tomorrow. The guy's going to get looks. The guy's going to get opportunities. And it's kind of like what the Lakers were hoping Dalton Connect can be for them and never was. But Luke Kennard is a player that's been in the league for a long time. He really is and has proven to be one of the best shooters in the NBA, and that's what the Lakers got. So we kind of close the chapter on Luke Kennard until he actually starts playing for the Lakers, and then we got something to talk about when he's here. The other, I think just a natural conversation and a topic becomes the buyout market. So a lot of people want to talk the buyout market. And there's a couple articles right now that are really going through, hey, here are some of the different players that could potentially be with the Lakers based on what's available in the buyout market. So let me read a couple of these here because there's so many different articles right now. But one of the things that happened yesterday is by getting Luke Kennard, the Lakers freed up, Spot Track put this out, freed up $500,000, bringing them about $1.5 million under the first apron that they're hard capped to. This should allow them to remain in the buyout market. And that's obviously kind of the focus now for everybody else is what players are available in the buyout market? Who should the Lakers go get? So this kind of conversation continues here in regards to the buyout market. Silver Screen and Roll put out 5 players the Lakers should target in the buyout market. Here's a question that I have for everybody. And if I told you guys, give me the type of player that you think the Lakers need, trust me. Somebody's on this channel on a Friday on February 6th at 8:23 a.m. And we're talking buyout market. That means you have a pretty good pulse of what the hell the Lakers are. That means you're probably watching a lot of Laker games. That means you're probably consuming a lot of Lakers content. And if I asked, what kind of player do the Lakers need in the buyout market? I think, for me, the first thing I'm going to say is, oh, man, if they could try to find, is there a player out there that's got a little bit of offense, a little bit of defense, but is more of a 3-and-D type of player, a guy that can guard some wings, can help out in the backcourt as far as defensively. And then also, if they got some good looks, can hit an open 3 with some of the spacing that Luka's going to give them, Austin Reaves is going to give them, and LeBron's going to give them. That's what I would typically be looking for. That's the type of player that I would say, I think that player would make a lot of sense. Every single player that's listed on this buyout market, I don't really think fits that mold. Now, we'll see who else becomes available in the buyout market. In the buyout market, too, maybe there's a little bit of just get the best talent and, don't get greedy. Whatever you can come back with talent, you take your chances with that and then go from there. Here are some of the players that are available in the buyout market. And here are some of the players that are listed here, Silver Screen and Roll against the top 5. And a lot of these players are mentioned in a bunch of different on a bunch of different websites or tweets or things along those lines. So let me kind of just walk through some of the different players here in the buyout market. Okay, here's one player. Cam Thomas. Cam Thomas was waived by the Brooklyn Nets, kind of giving him a chance now to go play wherever he wants to play. Cam Thomas is available. I'll read a little bit about Cam Thomas. You want a bucket? Go get Cam Thomas. 15.5 points per game, 3 assists per game. Just a straight, I'm going to go get buckets. I can go be you need a, kind of reminds me of, not the best, the Jamal Crawfords of the world, like guys like that, right? Where I just need a bucket. Here's the ball. Lou Williams, go get a bucket. And that's what a player like Cam Thomas does. Okay, here's another player. Chris Paul. Chris Paul is also available in the buyout market. Got traded, obviously left the Clippers. They asked him to kind of go home before they finally traded him to Toronto. And then now the Raptors will not require Chris Paul to report to the team. There's another player that's available. Lonzo Ball. Got traded to the Utah Jazz. The Jazz are expected to waive Lonzo Ball, allowing him to become a free agent. Lonzo Ball's available. Mike Conley, obviously one of the long vets around the NBA. I think there was some reports out there that the hope was Mike Conley ends back up with the Minnesota Timberwolves. So we'll see what happens there. But the Hornets officially waived Mike Conley. By the way, anybody seeing what the Charlotte Hornets are doing? Maybe I got to go back in that post-game show where I ripped the Lakers to losing against the Charlotte Hornets. Maybe I got to go make some apologies to that. The Hornets are balling. We'll get into that a little bit later. And then the last name on here of the top 5 players that could potentially join the Lakers in the buyout market, Haywood Highsmith. The Brooklyn Nets have waived forward Haywood Highsmith. That was yesterday. Okay. Of these players, is there a name or two that kind of sticks out to you? Those are the 5 right now. I will say this. Of all the players, none of them are ideal or I think fit the mold of what the Lakers can really, really use. But it is the buyout market. Beggars can't be choosers. Get as much talent as you can, and let's call it a day. Let me just go through the players I don't want to see on the Lakers. I don't want to see Chris Paul on the Lakers. Do they really need another old vet that probably won't stop running his mouth the entire time and telling everybody how they're wrong in their position and how Chris Paul's never been wrong in his life? I don't want to see Chris Paul in the Lakers. Maybe some people feel differently. I don't want to see Chris Paul in the Lakers. That's the last of the players here that I want to see. One guy that I loved watching play basketball, but unfortunately injuries and just it hasn't happened for him, Lonzo Ball. I don't want to see Lonzo on the Lakers. I hope Lonzo gets more opportunities in the NBA, but I don't think Lonzo is the answer for the Lakers. I don't. What are you going to do? You already got LeBron, already got Luka, already got Austin Reaves. You already got all these players that need the ball in their hands. Now listen, it's not that Lonzo can't play off ball, but they're going to let Lonzo shoot as many threes as possible. I don't think Lonzo is the answer here, unless Lonzo's on ball and then Lonzo's just distributing to everybody else. But does anybody feel like that's what the Lakers are going to be doing with Lonzo at this stage of his career? I'm going to move on from Lonzo as well. Mike Conley, I love. It's just kind of like, I think this is over for Mike Conley. At least he doesn't make sense for the Lakers. I think Mike Conley is going to make sense somewhere else. Maybe the Houston Rockets picked him up. Maybe another team out there that just needs a veteran picked him up for their playoff push or their playoff run. I don't think Mike Conley's the right guy. All right, so what are we down to? Haywood Highsmith and Cam Thomas. Here's a question I'll ask Laker fans. If this is pure talent, you go get Cam Thomas. If this is who you think is the better or the best fit, I think you go get Haywood Highsmith. One player's got the ability to just go get a bucket. The other player's got the ability to, I could play some defense as well. Kind of play both sides of the ball would be the idea with Haywood Highsmith. Not that that's a name everyone's going to say to themselves, oh my gosh, this is perfect. He's a great fit. I can't believe the Lakers got him. Cam Thomas is going to be the sexier name. Cam Thomas is going to be the more known player. And Cam Thomas is going to be a bucket. I don't know if Lakers need more buckets. Lakers need more just guys that know their role. And he would certainly have a role. He could come off the bench and go get you a bucket. But, and I haven't looked at the comments yet, but I'm going to assume here there's a lot of people that like the Cam Thomas idea over Haywood Highsmith. But if I'm just giving you guys my honest opinion in regards to a player that you could say at least put the Lakers, or you can add a player that I think fits the mold of what the Lakers actually need. I don't know how many opportunities he would get. I'd lean towards Haywood Highsmith. The better player is Cam Thomas, and maybe that's the only way that you look at this, but I think the better fit would be Haywood Highsmith. None of these players are going to go, move the needle. One of my topics I have here is what's the Lakers ceiling? Well, part of the reason why I have that on there is because we kind of already know what the Lakers are. And we already know what the roster is, and we already know that none of these players are going to be the complete difference or anything along those lines. But I think that gives you a little bit of an idea what it is as well. All right, let's see what else we have here. Free agent guard, Shams Charania. Guys, I got a little bit of help in the background here. I think I've kind of mentioned it before. So now when the show's going on, I mean, you want to talk about having another team member. I just got another team member behind me. All right, let me say this because this just came out here in the last couple of minutes, it sounds like. Free agent guard Mike Conley Jr. plans to return to the Minnesota Timberwolves, sources tell ESPN. So Conley was traded twice last week, to Chicago, then to Charlotte before being released, allowing him to rejoin the Minnesota Timberwolves. All right, that's cool. That's actually kind of a cool story too. I like that. That's a cool one to kind of go off of. So Conley is back with the Minnesota Timberwolves, so you can take him off the list there. Okay, let's get people's thoughts. I want to start reading some of these opinions here of some of the different players. I see a lot of people saying, please no Chris Paul. I'm with you on that one. Cam Thomas, Highsmith, Chris Paul, distant. I don't even want to have Chris Paul in the conversation. No to CP3. I'm with you. I can't do it. I can't do it. Haywood Highsmith, 6'6", 7-foot wingspan, 37 3-point. I'll take Haywood. You can make a case. I see somebody here saying Chris Boucher, who I think is who Boston just let go. You can make a case for him and say the Lakers need another big because of DeAndre Ayton and I got to clear. You can make a case. You can sell me on that, but I think from a position perspective, I think Highsmith is the player that I think they need most, that type of player. But I could be sold on a Boucher. Yeah, I can definitely be sold on a Boucher. You can make a case. I mean, let's look at last night as an example. You got one of your big men is suspended because he was not aware that you can't hip check the mascot from an opposing team. You got another big man in DeAndre Ayton who, I got no idea what I'm going to get every single night. For the most part, I have an idea, but I'm more surprised if he's performing than if he's not performing. And then Maxi Kleber comes in out of nowhere and gives you some minutes, but you're not going to depend on Maxi Kleber every single night. You can make a case, and I'm down to listen on Chris Boucher. I'm okay to listen to that, but those are some of the options really that the Lakers have right now in the buyout market. So I hope that gives you guys a little bit of an idea of where the Lakers are sitting here, and whether they end up with, let's say, another one here. Yep, Boucher would be nice too, but I think Highsmith might be a better move for our current needs. That's my point. It's just you want to address current needs. That's kind of what the buyout market is. I guess there's two ways to look at the buyout market. One way is to look at it as get the best player possible. The other way is to address your needs. It's almost like an NBA draft or an NFL draft or something along those lines. Do you get the player that you need, or do you get the best player available and there's, obviously work off of that? So we'll see what some of these other players do. One of the advantage I think the Lakers have had, one of the advantages I think that the Lakers have had is they got a chance to give a player in the buyout market some good exposure. They have a chance to give a player in the buyout market an opportunity to at least get himself on a national stage. And if there is a playoff run, they'll get exposure, and you get to play with Luka and things like that. So there's some advantages to signing with the Lakers. I do think the Lakers have had some opportunities in regards to that. And we'll see what other players. I mean, I think here's what you're hoping for from the buyout market. other players become available that are not available right now, and then that's going to tell a little bit more of the full story of what the Lakers can be going after. But teams do want to, or players do want to join the Lakers because their agent's going to say, oh my gosh, you can get great exposure. You're on the Lakers. Luka's there. LeBron's there. They're always on national television. You need this in order to go get your other contract if you can perform. So that's always something that the Lakers have that's a little bit of an advantage. Okay. So that's a little bit of the buyout market. Obviously, Luke Kennard coming and what the Lakers got the rest of the way. All right. There's a few other things that I want to get done that I want to make sure that we do today. I got a couple of clips that I want to play. Before I do that, let's give a shout out to one of our partners. Let's do this. If we got somebody that's already working their way to Harrah's Resort on this fine morning because they want to support one of our partners. Number one, I appreciate that. Number two, it's a wise decision. If you're looking for a staycation, if you're out here in Southern California, you're between an hour and 2 hours away from wherever you are in SoCal. This is a really, really good option to get in your car, whether you're with your partner, your wife, your husband, your family, friends, whatever the case is. This is a phenomenal, phenomenal way to take advantage of a resort that's within 1 to 2 hours, depending on where you are in Southern California. Get into one of the nicer areas, the quieter areas, the peaceful areas of all of SoCal in the Palomar Mountains of North San Diego. HarrahSoCal.com is the website. They always got different shows and concerts going on. I encourage you guys to go look at their website. They got the entertainment side of things. You can go look at it. I went to a concert, or I went to a comedy show last week. I went and saw Andrew Santino. Funny as hell. Guy was awesome. But it just shows you, the caliber of guests that they have that go to the resort, that go to the casino. Really, really great options from a food perspective. I think one of the best restaurants in all of SoCal, Hell's Kitchen. That's Gordon Ramsay's restaurant. I mentioned that they have the Rincon Brewery, so local brewery. Obviously, that's their own brewery there. Phenomenal brewery. I tried their Mexican lager yesterday or last week during the post-game show. I just cracked one of those open in the middle of the post-game show. So a lot of good options there from a food perspective. I think the main point just to say here is if you're looking for a getaway, Harrah's Resort SoCal, it's a great way to do it. HarrahSoCal.com is the website, and I appreciate you guys supporting our partners, like Kate is doing as she's going to work her way out there. I got a video I want to play for everybody. T-Mac and Vince Carter got a new podcast. And one of their, I don't know if it's their first guest, but Luka was on. Let's just say it's a pretty good guest to get on their pod. And this, by the way, the episode was recorded before the trade deadline. So, obviously what happens, and it's not like the Lakers went out and got Trey Murphy III, and then they got another big. I mean, Lakers were obviously very, very quiet at the trade deadline for the most part. And I'm not hating on the Lakers, to be honest with you. I think there's a strategy of why the Lakers did what they did. Listen to Luka when he's asked about competing for a championship. Now, let me preface this. Anybody that's going to ask a question, I don't care if you're the Charlotte Hornets or you're the Houston Rockets or the Boston Celtics, doesn't matter. Any star that's asked a question about, do you think you can compete for a championship? They're all going to say, yes, I think we can compete for a championship. So let's kind of get that out of the way. But let's take a listen. Here's Luka kind of justifying why he thinks the Lakers can't compete for a championship. Let's take a listen.
Yeah, we're going to win the championship. I'm saying presently constructed is the Lakers a championship contending team.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
Especially you have, like you said, me, AR, and LeBron. You have us out there, anything can happen.
Anything can happen. I will go back to this. The chemistry that I saw you and AR have in the beginning of that season was like really on a high level of watching. I don't know Bron and Kyrie. I remember Bron and Kyrie in the NBA Finals against Golden State and how that chemistry was just on point. How they were going back and forth, they just fed off of each other. And similar to how you guys were in the beginning of the season, and y'all kind of lost that. And I was saying to him, with LeBron getting in great basketball shape, you in primetime shape, and having AR get in that type of shape, y'all can form that chemistry. Offensively, I think y'all can compete with anybody.
Yeah.
For me, it's the defensive side where I think y'all got to work on.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with that. But like at the beginning, LeBron was hurt. Now LeBron comes back, AR gets hurt. So it's like we had the most like different lineups in the NBA this season. So we're kind of hurt by injuries, but got to work with it.
Yeah.
All right, that's a clip right there. What I didn't realize was going to happen was if you fast forward, whenever they recorded that, it was before the deadline. If you fast forward and now it's Luka hurt. AR comes back, now Luka's hurt. So these guys literally are just passing the baton and saying to themselves, okay, I'm healthy, grab the baton, you're injured. I'm healthy, grab the baton, you're injured. Couple things I agree with and a couple things I disagree with. I'm glad Tracy McGrady said at the end there, basically said like, hey, look, Kyrie and LeBron, it kind of reminded me a little bit of that. I don't, if I'm being completely, I don't know what the hell, what are you talking about? What do you mean it reminds you of Kyrie and LeBron? That's arguably one of the best duos for an NBA playoff run, a finals run that we've seen in a long time. And those two players complemented each other. And LeBron was also a beast on the defensive side. And Kyrie was a natural born killer, was able to go take big shot after big shot. I haven't seen anything remotely close to what those two players were. I think what he's talking about is conceptually on the offensive end, those are two very, very dangerous weapons. That's what he's referring to. And then T-Mac said, but the issue that I have is on the defensive side. The issue that he has is defensively for the Lakers is where it would obviously be a completely different story because on the defensive side for the Lake Show, that's the side that is always going to be the question mark. That's always going to be the side where everybody kind of just sits back and says, does this team have a ceiling or how far can they really go? Because they don't play any defense. There's another clip I want to play here from Baron Davis because I think it kind of whatever T-Mac felt good about in regards to what those three players can do together, that combination of those three, Baron Davis kind of swings it the other way. It's like, no, the problem is those three players. Before I play the Baron clip, I'm gonna just say this real quick on the ceiling here of the Lakers, and this is going to be for me. Now that we know what this team is the rest of the way, they didn't make this, this huge trade at the trade deadline or anything like that. I think that's the question that I want to ask every Laker fan that's out there. What can happen between now and the season ending where you say to yourself, hey, that was a pretty good season. I don't think Lakers are winning an NBA championship. I don't think they're getting out of the Western Conference, and I don't think I'm breaking any news by doing that. But if they get out of the first round, again, this all comes back to expectations. What are real expectations? Because I don't want to hear people say, oh, it's the Lakers, and if they don't win a championship, it's a failed season. That's just not how sports works anymore. It just doesn't. Maybe it does work in some sports, but I don't think it works in the NBA, and I just don't think we got to be realistic with the Lakers. What is this ceiling? They got out of the first round and then lost to Denver in the second round. Are you mad at that? Or are you saying, all right, let's take kind of another step forward. Let's see what they do in the summer. If they get to the Western Conference Finals, is it like, oh my God, that was so much better than I thought the Lakers were going to do? The fact that they won 2 rounds, made it interesting in the Western Conference Finals. Hey, that's a good season. Let's see what they could do in the summer. If they're out in the first round in 5 games again because they played Houston or Denver or Minnesota or something like that, is it just a colossal failure? It's kind of tough to assess what the expectations are the rest of the way because it just seems like there's so many different things that can play out, and I wouldn't be shocked. If they won a round, I'm not shocked. If they won 2 rounds, yeah, I'm kind of really surprised, right? To take this team and know that there's going to be some big changes probably coming in the summer, that the team's not going to look like the same squad that it has, and a new chapter probably starts without LeBron James. There's pieces for me that I'm trying to kind of figure out, all right, well, what would be a successful season? What would not? But I'm also trying to be realistic. The one thing that I don't want to be, the one thing I definitely don't want to be when it comes to this Lakers team is I just don't want it to be this, well, they should have done this and they should have done that. I don't have these unbelievable expectations for the Lakers, and I'm just being honest with you. I don't have my expectations aren't crazy for this team. All right, let's take a look at some of the comments, and then I'll play that Baron Davis thing that I was talking about. I want to go from there. Here's what we have. Luka said championship, so championship or bust. Luka's going to say that every single time, and I respect Luka for that because that's what every single how do I put this? Every single great player is going to say to themselves, they got to win an NBA championship. People talking about LeBron too much. I remember before LeBron, Lakers didn't even make it to the playoffs. It's true. Yeah, no, Lakers were on a 5-year run where they couldn't make the postseason. Let's get another one here. A healthy Lakers team can match up with OKC, Houston, and Denver. This is a better team compared to last year. I think better than last year, but I also think you thinking that they're better than OKC, Houston, and Denver. I haven't seen anything that would tell me that they're better than any of those teams, or they can really even take one of these teams to 6 or 7 games in a 7-game set. So I think I definitely would need to see more in regards to that. A successful season is just making sure LeBron's gone after this year. By the way, I don't think there's a lot of people that would argue with that. I think a lot of people would say they're ready for that next chapter to start. I mean, let's just say that's a little how do I put this? Little cutthroat there. But I understand what you're saying and what you're trying to say. I want to see them be competitive with the top teams, even if they lose. I'm with you on that. I think there's a lot of truth there. Let's get another one here. Slee, if they get a buyout wing, I'll give them a puncher's chance. 50 wins and at least second round would be a good season. I don't know if I completely disagree with that. I think I think it's realistic. Depending on who they play in the first round. I mean, listen, in the Western Conference, you know what's weird about the West right now? Nobody really, other than maybe the San Antonio Spurs, is playing great ball. Now, there's a lot of people that got some excuses. You got the Phoenix Suns that are dealing with a Devin Booker injury. You got Denver that's had a number of injuries, but they've lost 3 games in a row. And most of those games are with Jokic back. But Aaron Gordon's out. They've had kind of a tough couple of games at Detroit, at New York. So they're going through some of the tougher games on their schedule. Nobody's been unstoppable in the Western Conference. Again, San Antonio, I think, is playing the best ball in the league, but there's a lot of teams that are 5-5 in their last 10, 4-6 in their last 10, 6-4. Nothing overly impressive. 50 wins in at least the second round would be a good season. Got to be honest with you. I don't really disagree with that. I think that's a realistic expectation, and I think it's doable. Again, I'm going to go back to it. I think a lot of people would say, well, that's not, a lot of people would say, well, this is the Lakers. How can that be your expectation? Just being realistic. That's all. There's nothing more to it. Just being realistic. Let's play that other clip I was talking about, because I do want to get another side of this and Run It Back, who does it's part of, I think, the FanDuel network, does DeMarcus Cousins is on there, Michelle Beadle, Lou Williams, Chandler Parsons, not on this clip, but Chandler Parsons as well. Baron Davis is talking about the Lakers, and he's talking specifically about Luka, LeBron, and Austin Reaves. I think he's being honest here, and I think he has I think he definitely has a good point in regards to those 3 players. So let's take a listen here to Baron Davis.
No, because when you look at the Lakers, Luka and LeBron don't really complement each other. Austin Reaves is the linchpin, right? Austin Reaves is kind of like their go-between. Like LeBron and Austin Reaves will play good together. Austin Reaves and Luka can play good together, but Luka and LeBron don't really play that well together. And then now you got Luka, LeBron, and Austin Reaves. So somebody's going to take a back seat because you got 3 playmakers and 3 guys who really expect and want to have the ball on every possession. So how do you share that love when none of their skill sets really complement each other?
Just me, or did Baron Davis sound like Doc Rivers right there? There's a little bit of Doc Rivers there. It's actually pretty funny. I watched that. They did that entire interview, and I think Baron Davis may be out there for the Super Bowl or something like that. And anyway, so they had him on. It was super early, and he's like, "I just woke up." He's just very honest with me. I just woke up. So that deep voice, I don't know if it was Doc Rivers or it was that morning voice you typically have. Baron Davis basically saying those three ain't going to work. You can't have three guys that need the ball, this and that. That's why this offseason becomes so important for the Lake Show, because if this is LeBron's final year and you see what the Lakers have done in regards to saving their cap space, putting themselves in a position where it's all about the future, not guaranteeing LeBron another year, I think they know this as well. At the end of the day, like, imagine, again, no disrespect to LeBron, but imagine next year, instead of LeBron there, it's a true 3-and-D player that you put some of your resources to, or you split LeBron's money. And I know it's not dollar for dollar, but you split LeBron's money and it's a better big and it's a better 3-and-D guy. When we talk about the pieces don't fully fit, and I'm not here to tell you that Luka and AR are going to fit perfectly, because I think that's a little bit of a stretch as well. But it gives you a little bit of an idea of how the Lakers will obviously build for the future. So Baron Davis, not exactly from that perspective, looking at this Lakers team and saying all these pieces complement each other. You got Luka saying we could compete for an NBA championship. You got Baron Davis looking at this team and saying, how is that possible? So the big thing I think for the Lakers is, let's see what they're able to accomplish the rest of the way. You kind of know what your roster is the rest of the way. I don't know how you guys felt about that trade deadline, but frankly, I didn't have a problem with the Lakers holding on to that draft pick and keeping that cap space for this upcoming summer. I think it's just going to create expectations for this upcoming summer that you better really make things happen, because the expectations are only going to go up on a year in, year out basis. I want to look at some of your comments. Got some NBA news that I want to get into. We'll do a deadline recap as well, and then the weekend preview. Before we do so, shout out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm, somebody that is a great supporter of the channel, somebody that has been with me and supported my work now for about 6 years, was with me when I was on radio, kind of told the guy, hey, Brad, I'm going to be leaving radio. I'm going to be just going 100% independent on YouTube. He's like, all right, how can I help? Been here the entire time. I'd like to call him the OG of our partners here. If you are a family member, a friend, serious injury or wrongful death case, the website is wallacewins.com/Sliwa, wallacewins.com/Sliwa. He can help anybody in the state of California. If you go to that website, get a free consultation. Hopefully you guys get this messaging, and I hope nobody ever needs him. But if you do, you could say, oh, I remember Al's been talking about Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. I got somebody that I can rely on, depend on, and trust. wallacewins.com/Sliwa, proven trial lawyers. The great thing is you only pay if you actually win your case. So like I said, they'll roll up their sleeves and they'll go to work for you. And you guys know the website by now. And if you guys want any introduction, I'll be happy to introduce you to the owner of the company, Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. All right, let's hit on a couple other things. That there was a good article out there, and just kind of recapping the entire trade deadline. And this was on ESPN. So ESPN did this, the winners and the losers of the trade deadline. You're not going to be surprised or shocked here, but the Lakers were not mentioned. And there's not really much to mention from a Laker perspective. Here are the teams that they said were the winners in the buyout market. The Cleveland Cavaliers, okay, the Utah Jazz, the Washington Wizards, and the Indiana Pacers, who picked up Ivica Zubac. Probably the Pacers are going to be competitive next year. Kind of interesting. They said the loser, the Utah Jazz, which I thought was a little bit interesting. The Utah Jazz trying to make a little bit of noise. They go trade for Jaren Jackson Jr. I guess they weren't too crazy about that move. The kind of, all right, thinking of the future teams, they put the Memphis Grizzlies there. They put another kind of a loser on this list is the Dallas Mavericks for what they ended up getting for Anthony Davis and what they ended up trading when they traded Luka Doncic. I think we all agree with that. And then there was a little bit of a winner here between that Bulls and Celtics trade for Nikola Vucevic in regards to what both of those teams got. So I think there was, honestly, I think the way everybody looked at this NBA trade deadline, it was very active. There was a lot of moves. It all started with that Trae Young trade that happened. 25 total trades this season, starting with the Trae Young trade on January 7th. And then the next trade that they had wasn't until January 31st. That was the DeAndre Hunter, Keon Ellis trade. That was actually a week ago today. We were talking about, oh my God, are the Lakers trading? Is DeAndre Hunter coming? But overall, I thought it was a very exciting, fun trade deadline that kind of comes with the NBA. The NBA has just done an excellent, excellent job putting themselves in a position where they're the topic, they're the story. And again, the Lakers or not the Lakers, the NBA has done it again. It's like free agency, trade deadline. Those are two of the most popular times of the year in the NBA because of how much action is going on. And I thought this trade deadline delivered. Did Giannis Antetokounmpo get traded? No. Did Ja Morant get traded? No. But there was still a lot of trades out there and a lot of surprise ones as well. Okay, I'm going to get into NBA news here in just a second. Just a quick reminder, Lakers and the Warriors tomorrow. So Golden State, 28-24 on the season, currently 8th in the Western Conference. They're 5-5 in their last 10 games. They just beat the Suns last night. I think came back from 14 down late. Steph Curry did not play last night. For those who want to know, Kristaps Porzingis, who they just traded for, will join the team in LA, but is not expected to play against the Lakers tomorrow in LA. So something to keep in mind there that Porzingis will certainly help the Golden State Warriors, but he's not going to help them tomorrow. Like I said, for the kind of a advantage there for the Lakers in regards to that, because they're going to get a chance to play the Golden State Warriors, who won't be technically at full strength after they traded Jonathan Kuminga. So it'll be a little bit of a second there. Okay, a couple things around the NBA we're going to get into. And then I'll read a couple of the comments. We'll call it a day. Did you guys know this? Did you know that Charlotte Hornets are on an 8-game winning streak? Let me tell you who the Charlotte Hornets have beat. This one kind of throws me off here. The Rockets, the Pelicans, okay, the Spurs, the Mavs, the Grizzlies, the Sixers, the Wizards, and the Magic. And yesterday they blew out the Rockets in Houston. Remember when the Lakers got demolished by the Hornets and we went on a post-game show and we're throwing F-bombs left and right? Not literally, but figuratively. What the hell's going on with the Hornets here? Kind of got a nice squad. Where are they in the standings now? I gotta take a quick look here at the standings. Might have to start a Charlotte Hornets post-game show. 24-28. They're at the number 10 spot. A few games behind Orlando, Miami, and Atlanta. They've won 8 in a row and 9 of their last 10. Charlotte might make the playoffs. Might get some of these young studs in the postseason. I thought that was an interesting topic to see what they've been able to do. Definitely impressive. Another random game yesterday. 14-36 Wizards beat the number 1 seed Pistons 126-117 yesterday. Just never know in the NBA. Just never know. I mean, for the most part, it's like you look at some of these games and it's all right. I got a good idea who's going to beat who, but some just random games last night. And like I said, Charlotte, one of the best teams out there. Some good games on tonight. Heat got the Celtics, Knicks and the Pistons on Prime. So if you're a big NBA fan, obviously you are if you're on this channel, go watch the Knicks and the Pistons. That could be the Eastern Conference Finals right there. Some other games. Really no other games of significance. Tomorrow, I just want to see if there are any games that kind of affect the Lakers. Warriors and the Lakers are playing. Obviously, that's an ABC game I mentioned. The Rockets got the Thunder. No Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. That's a 12:30 tip-off on Saturday. So tomorrow. Sixers got the Suns. That could have a little bit of influence on the Lakers as well. Let me give everyone a quick idea as well. Just a quick little weekend preview. Of course, that's presented by Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. Go to wallacewins.com/Sliwa. Sunday's the big game. Sunday is the big game. I know a lot of people are looking here, and this is kind of one of the funner times of the year because it's the Super Bowl. I don't know how much people are into the Super Bowl. I really cannot remember a time where there's such little hype behind the Super Bowl. Seahawks and the Patriots, Levi Stadium in Santa Clara. The spread is Seattle -4.5. The over-under is 45.5, and the money line is -230. All right, maybe I'm not the biggest betting guy, but it gives you some of the betting odds. I think Seattle wins the game. I think they've honestly been a phenomenal story, and I just kind of naturally have enjoyed watching the NFC and that division specifically, the NFC West. You got the Rams there, you got the Niners there, obviously you got the Seattle Seahawks. So I think that's going to be a kind of a, I don't know how the game is going to be. Obviously shocked that the Patriots are there, and however they got there, they're there. Anyone can win one game, but I'm going to be rooting for the Seahawks. I want to see Seattle get the Super Bowl, and obviously impressive run for them and who they had to go through, and ultimately winning that division is the difference of them being there or not. So we know how competitive all three of those teams were. Should be a fun Super Bowl. If you guys got your picks, you can feel free to let me know. But I think it's safe to say a lot of people sitting here and probably feel the same way, that Seattle, not just the favorite, probably end up winning. All right, let's see what we got here. Haywood Highsmith should be the top target. I think we agree, unless there's another player that becomes available. So we'll see what happens. Get some more here. Austin needs to prove it in the playoffs. You know what's funny about this? The Austin needs to prove it in the playoffs. Can we just enjoy Austin Reaves? I've read that a couple different times now, where people are telling me about Austin Reaves and in the playoffs, and the guy didn't do this, he didn't do that. Can we just let Austin Reaves, let's enjoy Austin. Came back yesterday in 25 minutes, or came back a couple games ago, but yesterday in 25 minutes, 35 points. Let's just try to enjoy Austin Reaves, and let's wait for the playoffs. And when the playoffs come and he doesn't perform well, we'll criticize him then. I like the Clippers trading all their good players. They're going to suck like the Padres after trading Luis Ariz. If you think the Padres are going to struggle because of Luis Ariz, I don't know what to tell you, brother. I don't think that's the best comp there. All right, let me see a couple more here. Clippers are screwing over the league by tanking. Okay, I don't know if they're technically tanking. I think they're just trying to get younger. I don't think you believe this comment at all either. Listen, I don't mind what the Clippers are doing. If they don't think they can win, then I think the next best thing to do is to basically say, all right, well, we don't want to pay James Harden $80 million for 2 years. Let's see what we can get for him. Darius Garland's going to fit well there. If Ivica Zubac, I was surprised that they traded him. I guess the idea was they just got so much for him, they decided, all right, let's move on. So we'll see what happens moving forward. All right. Listen, we got Clipper people on here. That's fine. I don't care. You can have any fan base on here. I'm not going to hate on who's here and who's not. Just make some good points if you're going to come on here. All right. Let's see what else. No, we can't enjoy a player who helps us lose in the playoffs. You always say really good stuff, but just enjoy a player who consistently helps us lose in the playoffs is the worst thing you've said. No. Here's what I said. Why don't you wait until the if you want to bitch and complain, wait until the playoffs to bitch and complain. You can't do anything about it right now. So let me give you a good example. Yesterday, Austin Reaves, Luka goes out, drops 35 in 25 minutes, and you're telling me that whole game on February 5th, you were the only thing you could think about is Austin Reaves disappointing you in mid-April or in early May? Why would you do that? That's like eating you go to a nice steakhouse and you're eating an unbelievable steak, and while you're taking every single bite, you're saying to yourself, you know what sucks? Next week, I don't get that steak. I gotta eat peanut butter and jelly. Don't worry about that peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Enjoy the steak that you're eating right now. That's my point. My point is not to look at Austin Reaves and not be critical about Austin Reaves and not say, man, Reaves and Luka, I don't know if that's going to work in the playoffs. My point is, if you got a good steak in front of you, enjoy your steak. Last night, Austin Reaves was balling. You can't enjoy Austin Reaves bringing the Lakers back, shooting 70% from the field. You got to think about the playoffs. What do you think about the playoffs for? What if Austin Reaves absolutely kills it in the playoffs? You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know. Was Austin Reaves injured last year? Would that team just didn't make sense? What if Luka has a bad playoff run? Are you going to now not enjoy Luka this season because you're worried about April? Enjoy your steak, brother. Enjoy your food that's right in front of you. Right here in front of you. You don't know what that next meal is going to be. Enjoy this food that's right in front of you. You had some good food in front of you yesterday. By the way, you don't have to go all caps. Why are we all caps here? I didn't yell at you. What are you yelling at me for? Freaking Friday. We're supposed to be relaxing here. Take a deep breath. All right, I think that's all we got today. There's a lot of cap lock on there. I appreciate you guys being a part of the show. Solid week, by the way. Thank you very much for the support. Everybody that's been on the channel, thank you, obviously, in regards to that. Here's what I will say. Here's what we got coming up. We got a member show coming up. I'm going to do it at 9:30. Let's do it at 9:30. No need to wait till 10. 9:30, a member show if you're a member. If you're not a member, consider being a member. Come on for a month and hang out and see if you like it. We've got a member show coming up in a little bit less than a half hour, and I'm looking forward to doing that. Get one quick super in here. Clippers clean up the books to sell. Bomber gone. Interesting. Bomber's got a lot of money. He just built the forum, or not the forum, into a dome. That's all I got. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate you guys hanging out all week long. Hopefully you guys have a great rest of your Friday. Enjoy your weekend as well. I'll see you guys tomorrow after the Lakers take on the Warriors. And last thing I'll say, like I mentioned, member show coming up at 9:30. Thank you, everybody. Damn, that timing with the music. Damn, Slee. Damn.